NFL Live, presented by Zillow. Week 15, Friday on NFL Live. Hannah Storm, along with some of the hardest working people in show business. We have Mina, Swagoo, Marcus Spears, and Ryan Clark in the house, and four matchups on the way. There he is.
There's the way.
He is larger than life today, isn't he, Swagoo? We have four matchups this week between teams with winning records. So let's get right to it. San Francisco held to under 200 yards total offense and just 6 points in this one. We got to say goodbye to the 49ers. So many high hopes for them. But the Rams, Mina, have come on so strong, really, since their bye week. They're a team nobody wants to see. What did you think of what they were able to do last night?
Yeah, well, first, there's a reason why that highlight reel was about 10 seconds. There weren't a lot of highlights last night. Offensively, it was not the best display. But I thought the Rams defense played really well. You know, the Niners did have some drops, and Brock Purdy had some misses. But for the most part, the coverage was quite sticky. You rarely saw Niners skill players running wide open the way you normally do with this team. And then up front, this pass rush really took advantage of an offensive line that was missing Trent Williams. And the guy you see there, Kobe Turner, you know, we talk so much about the rookies on this defensive line. Jared Verse, Braden Fisk. Kobe Turner had 9 sacks last year, y'all. People forget, and I thought he was dominant in this game, picking up 2 more. So this Rams defense, I think, has really improved a lot over the course of this season, and that should help them down the stretch. We all know what the offense is capable of.
Let's talk about the Seahawks. They host Jordan Love and the Packers. This is a fascinating game. Since each team had a bye in Week 10, both Love and the Seahawks defense, both of them have each been elite. They're going to match up against each other, with Love ranking 3rd in QBR, 1st in yards per dropback during that time. And then the Hawks defense 2nd in yards per dropback and touchdown to interception ratio. The Hawks force a pick in each of their 4 games during this stretch. So, RC, listen, when push comes to shove, what's going to dictate this matchup?
You know what's funny? We just did this whole thing on the way that they've been forcing interception and how well Jordan Love has been playing. And I'm going to say give the ball to Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to say, I'm going to say that, that the physicality in which he runs with, the tone that Josh Jacobs sets, and also the way that we watch Matt LaFleur do so much off of play action based on Josh Jacobs getting going. I think that is ultimately important against the Seattle Seahawks. And this is Mina's team, and I know that she knows this because she's also the best in the world when it comes to making numbers match the film. But who the Seattle Seahawks have been since acquiring Ernest Jones is in stark contrast to who they were before him. And if you want to attack this defense, especially now that Kobe Bryant at the safety position is making plays, you have to start with Josh Jacobs and allow Matt LaFleur to be creative off of some of those run looks and the motions that they can use to confuse and also disorient defenses.
Ryan, you always joke about whoever gets to go first gets to make the point. I literally wrote Josh Jacobs versus Ernest Jones will determine this game. Because as you said,
I'm sorry, Mina,
the Seahawks run defense has really transformed. I know. It's fine. They've really changed since that trade for him. Before the trade, before the last month, they were 27th in success rate against the run. Since then, they've been 7th overall. And you no longer see a lot of the same problems using the front 7 where it felt like the first and the second level weren't working together. He is such a sound tackler. That's the other thing that jumps out. And now, in Josh Jacobs, you go against a back who maybe we're not talking about him the way we are about Saquon, but I'll tell you, that guy breaks more tackles than any running back in the NFL at this moment and forces missed tackles. And everything that Green Bay gives you in the run game to look at as a linebacker with all of their unique motions and the players they use in their different formations, it is a steep challenge. So I think whether or not they can limit Green Bay on the ground, and if they do, then that pass rush that we've been talking about can tee off, will determine whether or not they have success on that side of the ball.
MK, you're absolutely right with the number of looks that Green Bay gives you in the run game, especially coming from a former defensive lineman that has nightmares when I watch Matt LaFleur diagram these things. But the way you deal with a run game all the time is through penetration. And I'm telling, I don't know if Leonard Williams went and took vibranium in Wakanda. I don't know what has happened to him over the last 4 or 5 weeks, but he is single-handedly destroying run games against teams that they're playing against, and it's because of the penetration and also his ability to push the pocket, not only push the pocket, make pass rush moves to disengage and get on the quarterback. What's interesting to me is something you brought up, RC, and Mina, you alluded to as well. When the pressure happens and when Jordan Love finds himself in harm's way and when he puts the ball in harm's way, who's going to make the play?
Yeah.
Is the Seattle Seahawks secondary going to make the play or will his wide receivers make the play? And I think that will be the determination of the game outside of what y'all saying about Josh Jacobs. Because I think if he gets going, Green Bay wins this game pretty solidly.
Yeah, in fact, of all of us, Mina is the only one who picked the Seahawks. Now, I swore on my right here that whoever you picked, Mina, I was just going to go ahead and pick them.
That's not far-fetched, though. That's not far-fetched. I went back and forth.
I don't usually pick the Seahawks. Y'all know I'm not a homer. You guys know I'm not a homer.
No,
this is on the other side of the ball. Because
Mina, we know you're beating this.
Packers pass rush.
There you go.
Just saying.
That's
the
it.
Packers pass rush is not that strong. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so both of these teams are currently sitting in playoff spots. We have Tampa Bay first place in the NFC South. LA holding down a wild card spot at 8-5. Mina, what is your lock, stone cold lock for this game?
Yeah, I think regardless of whether Bucky Irving plays, if it's Rachaad White running the football, I think Tampa does commit to their ground game pretty heavily in this because of the competition. This Chargers zone defense is excellent. But the run defense has shown some softness. They play with a light of boxes. Teams that can really get downhill on them, like we saw, of course, with Baltimore, can run the ball. And the thing about the Bucs rushing attack, Hannah, that offensive line gets a lot of push. It's very varied. They switched to more of a gap-based scheme. So if I'm Liam Cohen, their offensive coordinator, I really run the football on this one.
This isn't bad coverage by Grant Delpit, but with a perfect ball, with great eyes, delegating, distributing right where it needs to be. Russell Wilson was able to find plays in the high red zone, the Pat Fryermuth. And without George Pickens, you had to be able to create explosive plays in some sort of way.
Love it. Beautiful. Mina.
Fire.
What do you think?
RC.
Yeah, so look, this goes perfectly with my thoughts. The Eagles' defense is a really tough matchup for Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Pittsburgh has, with Russell Wilson, kind of lived and died by explosive plays. The Eagles' defense doesn't give up explosives. They're arguably the best in the NFL against the deep ball. And knowing Vic Fangio, guys, he's going to play a ton of split safety and basically dare Russ to throw over the middle of the field, check it down, to do what Ryan highlighted there, hitting Fryermuth over the middle of the field is going to be very important, not just because Pickens isn't there, but against this defense in particular. The other thing they do, and Marcus, you know this, defense that plays a ton of split safety, you got to run the damn ball, and you got to run it well. And that's something that has been a little bit inconsistent for Pittsburgh. It's been similar to the past game, honestly. It's been a little bit boom or bust on the ground. It's going to have to boom in this one if those explosives aren't downfield. And whether or not they do run the ball efficiently, I think will go a long way towards determining whether they can stay on the field.
So, Swagoo, I see your wheels turning there and your head nodding to everything that Mina's saying, but give me some players to watch for specifically on that Eagles defense that you think are going to be key.
And this is why I love y'all people, okay? This is why I love Mina Kimes and Ryan Clark, because we did not talk to each other before this show, and it all fits together. On my paperwork, y'all, I got Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean being the most important defenders for the Philadelphia Eagles because of Pat Fryermuth and the middle of the field. And also, when Vic Fangio decides to rush these guys, winning on the backs in order to move Russ off of his spot. Russ has been solid getting off of his spot, but I would absolutely love to see these two linebackers at times be able to rush against the backs, but also be able to disseminate when it is play action, and they have to get depth on those drops in order to take the middle of the field away from Pat Fryermuth. And we can never talk about the Philadelphia Eagles defense without mentioning that aminal named Jalen Carter on the interior. Pittsburgh has their own by the name of Cam Haywood, but they have one, and he's younger, named Jalen Carter. You have to have a plan for him, especially in the center of the pocket when you do decide to drop back and throw the football.
What'd you call him? Stangy?
Stingy. They stingy on defense now.
Stingy.
All
They
right.
stingy.
Yeah,
I thought he plays for the
stingy.
Texans.
You know who's keeping us honest today on our game picks? It's Mina, because we're all going one way. We're going.
I took the Eagles.
This surprises me.
I took the Eagles, I thought.
Okay.
I thought I took the Eagles. Maybe I thought I did.
Stick with it.
No, I thought I did. RC. I'm gonna keep it. Let's move on. I'm gonna keep it. Move on, y'all.
Okay.
Another thing about Bo Nix, even though these guys have like the same amount of starts, Bo Nix is older. And I didn't expect Bo Nix to be as fearless as he has been in pushing the football down the field. And I do feel that's a way that he can attack the Indianapolis Colts, right? He can work to get chunk yardage, and I'm not sure that they're going to be able to do the same on the other side of the ball. And so if you're Bo Nix, continue to be fearless, but let's protect the football in the way you didn't protect it against the Denver Broncos. It's not enough to just say, I'm going to push the football down the field because that's the play that's called. We've seen you be able to win with Courtland Sutton in those one-on-ones, but that's not every player on the offense. Protect the football, because to me, this offense is good enough to win against the Indianapolis Colts without doing stupid things.
Totally agree, Ryan. I mean, the Colts play a ton of cover two, and Nix will rip that seam ball in the dig to Sutton, who works that middle of that field really well. It's a bad matchup. I think it's a good matchup for Bo Nix. On the other side, look, I don't condone bullying or targeted harassment. However, Indianapolis needs to find the cornerback who is not named Patrick Surtain, draw a giant circle around him. I don't know if it's going to be
Levi
the person.
Wallace.
All right, it was Levi Wallace. But it might be someone else this week. Whoever it is.
It better be somebody else.
They got to throw at him. I mean, it might be Levi, because we saw last week that Broncos defense was really vulnerable there. And then the key, of course, is going to be actually connecting on those passes. But the game plan is very clear for Denver in my mind.
Well, I'm going to say this. Riley Moss, he's the king of the North. / the White King / Jon Snow. Right?
Jon Snow. He
He
better
was
come back
the
alive.
MVP, man.
They
He was
better
MVP
wake his ass up.
last time this team played.
Guy. But Levi Wallace, hey, he was out there burnt toast, boy. Abrams, Grain, whoever else they bring in, they ain't throwing that number 2. It's going to be all on you, buddy.
Oh, man. Do I even need to say that we're all on the Broncos in this one?
Nope.
We are all on the Broncos. One and all. How worried are we about that Bills defense, Mina? They gave up 42 points to the Rams last week.
Worried. And I smashed the over in this game because I agree with everything RC just said. But what concerns me about the Bills defense is the Lions offense does pretty much everything the Rams offense. I mean, they have very similar DNA, right? They both rank top 5 in condensed formations, motion at the snap, using wide receivers to block and bully nickel defenses like Buffalo. For me, if I'm Detroit, I don't deviate from my identity, because I think my identity as both a running and passing team matches up very well with the Bills defense that is good outside the numbers, good in coverage, but struggles against teams that can run the ball the way Detroit and Los Angeles can.
MK, it's funny that you said that, because my answer to Chris when I talked to him, our producer, was I don't even want to talk X's and O's because Mina and RC gonna handle that. The Detroit Lions embody their mascot. They wake up every day in Northern Africa and they hunt. That's all they do. That's all Lions do. They hunt, they eat, and they take a nap. That's what they do. So look. I don't care if they playing the Buffalo Bills. I don't care if they playing the New York Knicks. I don't care if they playing the New York Yankees. The Detroit Lions are going to play the way that they play and force you to be able to stop them for 4 quarters. That is exactly what Mina just highlighted. They are going to run the football with Jahmyr Gibbs in Montgomery. They're going to zone scheme you to death. And they're also going to try to kill you in play action. If you can't stop it, they're going to score 40 points again. And it don't matter. They're going to hunt, they're going to eat, and they're going to take a nap.
The Bills don't want to be home. Have a good weekend, everybody.